Okay, welcome everybody to Online with the CMC, Meet the Mobile Memory Lab. I'm Dr. Pamela Thomas. Kate Anderberg, our metadata cataloger, will be presenting this morning. She will take your questions at the end of the session, at which time I will allow everybody to unmute themselves if they would like to ask a question, or you can always post your questions in the chat box. We're having a little problem uploading the slides right now to L2 because it's so big because of the pictures, but I'll try to get that up as soon as possible. The link to the recording will be uploaded to L2 within a few days. So, Kat, if you want to take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this month's Online with the CMC. Today's topic is Meet the Mobile Memory Lab. My name is Kat Anderberg, and I am the Metadata Cataloger here at the Cataloging Maintenance Center. Today, I'll tell you about the Mobile Memory Lab and show you some of the incredible materials that Illinois residents have shared with the world through the Mobile Memory Lab and Illinois Digital Archives. The Mobile Memory Lab is an IHLS program that partners with libraries across Illinois to help individuals share their local history and genealogical materials through on-site Digitization Day events and inclusion of digitized materials in Illinois Digital Archives. The Mobile Memory Lab is able to digitize photographs and slides, letters and other documents, and small items or realia such as ceramics, figurines, and glassware. In March of 2023, IHLS received a $4,000 grant from Illinois Humanities to help launch the Mobile Memory Lab. With this grant, we were able to purchase 2 flatbed scanners, a digital camera, and a light box. The grant also paid for overnight travel to the 3 participating libraries we worked with during this pilot year: Marshall Public Library, Sparta Public Library, and Hainer Public Library Genealogy and Local History Library. Pictured here on the left is myself and a donor discussing materials she brought in to be digitized, and on the right is a pile of photographs and documents waiting to be scanned. During a digitization day, library users sign up for 30-minute appointments to have their materials digitized. Documents, photographs, and other flat materials are scanned on our Epson Perfection B600 scanner. 3-dimensional materials are placed in our Pula's portable studio lightbox and photographed with our Sony CyberShot DSC-W810 camera. For software, we use the Epson scanning software and Adobe Photoshop to edit images. We ask donors to share any information they have about their materials with us: names of people photographed, dates, exact or approximate that materials were created, and any stories they have connected with the materials they're sharing. Mobile Memory Lab staff record all of this information to be used to generate the descriptive metadata for the materials back in the office prior to collections being uploaded to Illinois Digital Archives. The picture on the left shows me scanning a document while discussing materials with the donor, and the picture on the right shows me photographing a scrapbook in the Mobile Memory Lab's lightbox. On the left is one of our donors preparing materials to be scanned, and on the right is a picture of me adding scanned images into donor-specific folders on my computer. Our first digitization day was held at Marshall Public Library. These 2 items were donated by Jamie Poorman. On the left is a picture of her father, Dwight Eugene Washburn, and on the right is a shadow box Jamie made containing the medals he received during his service. We were also able to digitize several photographs and artifacts from the Dog and Suds restaurant in Marshall, Illinois, which was owned and operated by Dan and Rogine Harlow for 20 to 25 years. On the right is a photograph of the restaurant with cars pulled in to eat, and on the left is a novelty wall plaque of the Dog and Suds mascot, Pluto, which was sold by the restaurant. These items were donated by Dara Lee Smith. Here are 2 more objects donated by Dara Lee Smith. On the left is a photograph of the Dog and Suds bowling team, and on the right is a collection of Dog and Suds glass mugs in 3 sizes. This is a ration book from World War II issued to May Thornburg. On the front is her identifying information, as well as the number of the local board that issued the book. On the back are instructions for the use of the stamps. Here's the interior of the ration book, which still has quite a few stamps in it. This ration book was donated by Brett Thornburg. These photographs of the Seymour Hurst home in Marshall, Illinois, were donated by Nancy Claypool. The photograph on the left shows the Hurst family posing at the front of their home, and the photograph on the right shows the garden in the back of the home. Donor Edie Brenneman shared a collection of materials from her father, Benny Bird, and his brother, Clarence Birdie Bird. This is a letter written by Benny to Birdie sometime around the 1930s. On the first page of this letter, Benny talks about boxing with two men at the YMCA and catching a left hook to his nose and eye, resulting in a black eye. On the left here is a photograph of Benny Bird, and on the right is a photograph of Clarence Birdie Bird in his Army uniform. Both photographs were donated by Edie Brenneman. These three pictures, shared during our second Digitization Day, which was held at Sparta Public Library, depict scenes from Chester, Illinois during the flood of 1903. Shown here are three men standing in shallow floodwaters, a boat tied to a no parking sign, and a truck in the middle of the road. All three of these photographs were donated by Ann Borner. Another fun item from the Sparta Public Library Digitization Day is this dance recital ticket from 1938. The dance school was owned by the donor's mother, Oleta Carlisle Borner, and something I really love about this item is the grocery list written on the back, reminding Oleta to get grapefruit, olive oil, tomatoes, coffee, sugar, cake, kraut, ham salad, rolls, wieners, cigarettes, and buns. This item was donated by Ann Borner. I was also able to digitize these incredible photographs from World War I. On the left, we have a picture of a Christmas party, and on the right is a picture of the barracks assigned to Paul Borner. Both of these photographs were donated by Ann Borner. These two items were donated by Marcia Thomas. On the right is a picture of Colbert's grocery store, which opened in 1919 and closed in 1962. On the left is a page from the store's calendar, which includes advertisements for canned goods, as well as a monthly weather forecast in the bottom right corner. You can see that the calendar page had to be digitized in 2 scans due to its size. This fun photo on the left was shared by Beryl Ethington, and it shows her winning the Illinois State Fair Baby Parade in 1953 with her cousin. On the right is a poor, pitiful pearl doll that Beryl has had since 1956. This is a carbide lamp used in mining, dating from the 19th century. This item was also shared with us by Beryl Ethington. These photographs are of 2 shadow boxes made by Sue Pirtle, and they contain items belonging to her grandparents. On the left is a souvenir fan from Japan, originally belonging to Orpha Smith, and a marble belonging to James Smith. On the right is hair combs, a hairpin, and a coin purse originally belonging to Mary Browning, a pipe originally belonging to Jim Browning, and a receipt for the repayment of a loan. This loan was taken out in 1942 with the family home as collateral in order to be able to take one of their daughters, Tilly, to Springfield for eardrum surgery after rheumatic fever. The remaining siblings worked together to pay off the loan in February of 1943. Our final digitization day for the 2023-2024 pilot year was at Hainer Public Library Genealogy and Local History Library in Alton, Illinois. This item is a regiment account book belonging to Samuel Pettit, and it was used in the 1840s and 1850s while he was stationed in Bermuda. The account book was used to track all monies paid to and collected from the soldier, as well as tracking articles of clothing issued, wounds, promotions and demotions, and any times when the soldier distinguished himself. The account book consists of paper signatures bound in a parchment cover, and it can be tied closed with a leather strap. This item was donated by Lexa Browning. These are 2 pages from a scrapbook made by Ruth Ann Hellmeyer about her father, Glenn Reeves, and his twin brother, Lynn Reeves, who were both on the HRT, which stands for His Majesty's Transport, Rona, when it was bombed and sunk on November 26, 1943. Glenn survived the attack, but Lynn was killed along with 1,137 other men. Over 1,000 of the men killed were U.S. personnel, making the sinking of the HRT Rona the largest loss of U.S. troops at sea due to enemy action in a single incident. We were also able to digitize this scrapbook made by Donna Welch about her family. On the left is a page dedicated to her mother, Thelma Frances Lohr, and on the right is a page for Thelma's father, Adam Lohr. This is a passport from the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, issued April 14, 1864. This passport comes from the estate of William Peglar and was donated by Becky Croxton. These rings belonged to Edna Moore, grandmother of donor Becky Croxton. On the left is Edna's engagement and wedding rings, and on the right is an opal ring that Edna's future husband, Eugene, sent her while he was stationed in Germany in the 1940s. These 2 photographs were shared by Sandra Cornelius. On the left is a photograph of Faye and Orlin Cornelius. On the right is an aerial view of the St. Peter's family farm taken in 1953. In the lower right corner of the aerial photograph, Jefferson School number 16, a school for grades 1 through 8 in Jersey County, is visible. These 3 pages come from a book of Bade family history shared with us by Marilyn Stewart. This book charts the Bade siblings' immigration from Germany all the way to the first member of the 7th generation, born in 1993. Here I have links to the 3 mobile memory lab collections currently in IDA. Here are direct links to all the materials I shared today from the Marshall Public Library Mobile Memory Lab collection. Here are direct links to the materials I shared today from the Sparta Public Library Mobile Memory Lab collection. And here are direct links to the materials I shared today from the Hainer Public Library Genealogy and Local History Library Mobile Memory Lab collection. On the call today, we have Barbara Scobie, Dr. Pamela Thomas, Mary Cornell, Eric McKinney, myself, Blake Walter, Katie Roberts, and Andrea Giosta.
Thanks, Kat. We do not have any questions so far. This is Dr. Pamela Thomas again. So if you have your questions, you can now unmute yourself and ask it if you're in a quiet-ish environment, or you can post your questions in the chat box. Okay. Sarah asks, will you be able to share the equipment and software you use in the chat?
Yes, I will post those.
And Mary says, what did you find was the most challenging aspect of the digitization days?
One of the things that we struggled with during this pilot year was figuring out how to collect the information for the descriptive metadata, as well as perform the digitization at the same time. Because I am just one person. So we made it work this year. And then for the ongoing Mobile Memory Lab Future Digitization Days, we'll have more staff on site just to make that process a bit more straightforward and streamlined.
Because people want to talk about their objects and not fill out forms. Okay, Lorena says, will the links you showed be available to find somewhere to use in the future? Yes, Lorena, as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm trying to get the slides uploaded to L2, but there's so many images that I'm trying to get it compressed so that it's small enough. Unless if Kat, you want to put them in the chat. Take up a lot of
Um,
space though.
I can see if I can put them in the chat, but they will be in the slides once they go up online.
Yep. I will try to get that done today. Sarah says, did you have any stipulations on what could be digitized?
Mostly the stipulations are based on size. Um, the the flatbed scanner has a size limitation as to what can be scanned, what can fit in the bed, and the light box is 16 inches cube, so items have to fit in there with enough room around them. So it's most we can't do like super large items.
And I know several people at Marshall did bring items that were too large to fit inside the light box.
Yep, at Sparta too, we had a couple of things that we weren't able to digitize because they were too large.
Okay, and Katie says, were there things you could not digitize for any reason on the digitization days?
Um, Mostly it was just because of size. Um, Another concern that we have is anything that goes into the Illinois Digital Archives has to be either copyright released or it has to be out of copyright. But we did communicate that with the libraries beforehand, so no one ended up bringing anything that was too recent that it would still be in copyright.
Okay, and Lorena says we can get them in the slides. She's talking about the links. And then Sarah says, do you have any tips on handling fragile items?
Go slow and be careful. Um, just be gentle. Um, um,
And Mary says, and ask for help if you need it too. Yeah, we had had a discussion earlier about, wearing those like cloth gloves, but like we did some
nope.
research on that and those can actually cause more damage because, you can't feel as well. So,
Yeah,
um,
you do not want to wear gloves when handling paper materials such as documents. So yeah, clean hands,
right.
go slow, be upfront with patrons about the the state of the material and how realistically you may or may not be able to digitize it. For example, I had some like graduation announcements that were like tied shut with a ribbon on the binding. And I said, if you want me to digitize the inside of this, it will have to be creased. Is that something you want? And this time they were all okay with it, but just be realistic about what you can and can't do.
And we didn't really have a limit on how many objects people could bring, but moving forward, we will just for time constraints, not just during the days that things are being digitized, but after Kat gets back to the office, she has to catalog and describe everything. So,
Our very first digitization day, we did not have any restrictions. And then for the second two, I followed up with our library partners and said, here's the limitations that we're going to have to stick with.
yep. And Kat did post in the chat the equipment that she's been using. Okay, Katie says, what's been your favorite thing to digitize so far or most interesting?
Ooh. Um, a thing I really, really liked was I believe it was from the 1920s. It was regulations for a cemetery in St. Louis in terms of like who could be buried there, how many people per lot, what you were allowed to have on the lot in terms of plants and stuff, if you were allowed to like trim back branches, what was the lot owner's responsibility, what's the groundskeeper's responsibility. And I just really love historical cemeteries. So having that guidebook and being able to digitize that was really, really interesting for me.
I never knew such a thing existed. Wow. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? And just heads up, next month, so September 12th, we'll be doing whose research is this anyway, studying cataloging theses, and that's going to be Eric and Mary covering that. And then in October 17th, Eric McKinney is going to be doing AI in the library world part 2. So just to give you a heads up. Lorena says, can we add items to the Illinois Digital Archives, or do you have to come to our library to do this?
So the Illinois Digital Archives is administered by the state library. I know there are libraries that have their own collections that they can add things to, but that's something they work out with the state library. And then there are other libraries that just come through the CMC because we have access to Content DM and the Illinois Digital Archives platform to be able to upload things and have different collections made. But it is possible if you want to create your own and administer your own collection in IDA that you can get in contact with the state library about that.
Can she maybe just email you for details about that?
Absolutely. Please email and I will let you know who to get in touch with over at the state library if you want to learn more about that.
And I put her email in there. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? Okay, Eric says, can I bring my great uncle Merle to be digitized?
Is he under 16 inches tall?
Ooh, I don't think so.
Then no. Like I said, we
I
do
mean, he
have a
didn't
size
answer,
constraint.
but if he took a picture of him,
If there are pictures of your great uncle Merle that you have, that you would like included, why not?
yeah, she could take a picture.
Well,
So
I mean, if you have pictures of him,
yeah, I mean, you can accept a photo. Yep.
yes.
And use that. Sarah says, no more questions, but I think this is such a great service. Thank you for sharing. And Eric did answer that, unfortunately, no, his uncle's not that small. Okay, any other questions or comments? If not, I want to thank Kat for putting this together. I think this really highlighted the 3 digitization days that we've held so far. And I'm excited to see what we're going to have in the collections in the future. And Eric says, great job, Kat.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording. Thanks, everybody.